Hello again. As I've said before, my name is Perry White. I'm running for the President of the United States on the Democratic ticket against Joe Biden. I'd like to speak today and tell you a little bit more about who I am and what the difference between me and the other people running are. First off, I'm a Southerner, as you can probably tell from my accent. And I grew up in a rural community. Uh, I understand a lot of the people that could call themselves MAGA, which to me is an insult. I don't hate the MAGA people. It's very important you understand that. You are my neighbors, my coworkers, the people I went to church with, uh, the people I went to school with. I understand you, though we've always had political differences. We've always coexisted most of my life in peace and in friendship, even though we disagreed with one another. We never had the hatred that exists today. And that's another thing that I would like to see end. Why do I disagree with that word MAGA so much? Because I believe America is a great country. And to say make America great again, America is great. And we have the greatest democracy and the best chance for the world as an example, as a leader that exists. Now, as I said, I grew up a country boy. I did at one point separate from some of my neighbors somewhat, where I did go to college. I studied physics and I served my country most of the years as a civilian contractor for our defense department. I did work on a lot of the things that protect our country today. But I did something else I'd like to talk about. My father was in World War II, and the greatest chance that my generation had to go to war was caused by what we call in this country the Tiananmen Square massacre. So these were things that I wanted to know more about. I didn't marry till late in life, so I did have the money to travel the world some. So one of the first things I wanted to see was Tiananmen Square. I wanted a greater understanding of what had happened. They have a yearly march on Tiananmen Square. I thought that march was rebellionist, and that's what I expected to see when I went there. So I did go there and join that march. And that is one of the things that shaped my life, changed my life more profoundly than anything I could possibly explain. But I will try. I found myself in a wave of hundreds of thousands of people. But these people weren't there for a rebellion. When I looked around myself, I realized that many of them were crying, and all of them were mourning. I was in a wave of people in remembrance, remembering the people that they had lost. So I tried to talk to the people. I didn't travel the world as a tourist the way a lot of the more wealthy people would have. I traveled the world talking to common people as best I could. I later found out that about 1 in 10 of the Chinese people spoke English. But even then, most of them were afraid to talk to me. But over some time, I was able to gain the trust of enough of them to find out more of what had happened there. As I did find out, Tiananmen Square was only the part we saw on television. That same massacre was repeated in the capital city of almost every province in China. It wasn't thousands of people who were murdered that day. It was millions. But to move forward, as Xi Jinping came into power, he was, in the beginning, a great man. He probably is responsible for what became a Chinese middle class that was growing. And as they begin to become a middle class, they became more westernized and lived their lives more the way we do. And COVID and the separations and the tariffs that were put on by Trump and the loss of the American trade has caused a great damage to that middle class. And that is what could become a catastrophe. We need to end that. We need to end these trade embargoes. We need to find a way to settle our differences and become trading partners with China again. Why? Well, for one thing, we should care about people who want freedom, who want to live a more free and middle-class life. And if we help them, that will help put Putin more on an island by himself and put more pressure on him to end this Ukrainian war. Another group of people I came to know were the Germans. As I said, my father fought in World War II, so I wanted to see where he had been. So I traveled to the Ardennes forest and many of the places that he had been as a soldier. And again, I began to talk to more people, middle-class people, people more like me, I guess, is the best way I could put it. I came to know them. They of course, are already our allies, but I also met, to my surprise, Russian citizens who were on vacation there. And I was able to have conversations with some of them. And the people of Russia, aren't as different from us as we are led to believe. It is the evil And I would call the government of Russia at this time evil. Government that is crushing the people that would live different. They would be murdered and their families would be murdered if they did speak out. And it's these things, and the way I was able to continue my education online and my further understanding of the world that I do believe makes me someone who can be an effective president. Now, of course, I would not try to make all these decisions on my own. I would surround myself with people with political experience, people, a Secretary of State and an advisor who have more political experience. But I would also maintain my, if you don't mind my saying so, common countryman experience and understanding to make decisions based on more knowledge, but still with the common sense of a common man. That's what was supposed to represent the United States, one of us. I'm Perry White. I hope you'll give me a consideration, and I need your help. I need donations to qualify to run and to get my message out. And this is only part of it. There will be more, and I'll try to further the story. But what I believe in is world free trade, and to build the understanding, like I do have, of the people of the different countries that we would consider far different than ourselves. But as we come to a greater understanding of the people, we may find those differences are far less than we began thinking. Perry White, give me a consideration. Give me a chance to get my message out. Put me on a stage in a debate with Donald Trump and watch what happens to a carpetbagger when he meets a real Southern boy. Thank you for your attention. I hope we talk more.